Now, moving on quickly to fasting. I want to talk briefly about fasting. Why fasting? What is fasting about? Fasting is about denying ourselves to focus more on God. That's the long and short of it. In fact, in Matthew, in the Sermon on the Mount, Jesus actually teaches on three subjects, and these are important as Christian disciplines. These are subjects, if Jesus is teaching this in one of the most important sermons ever preached, I think these are three things that you need to know about. He preaches on prayer, fasting, and giving. Those are the three things he talks about connected to each other. And basically, when we are praying, it is what we do unto God. It is about our relationship to Him. It is about our honor to Him. It is about worship. Prayer is what we do for God. We do it for ourselves, but we do it unto Him. He's the focus of it. Giving is what we do as a discipline for others. It's outwards. So prayer is for God, is what we do to God. Giving is what we do for or to others. Guess what fasting is? Fasting is what you do for yourself, to yourself. Fasting is denying yourself. It's an inward focus. So prayer is upward focused, giving is outward focused, and fasting is inward focused. Okay, so it's denying ourselves to focus more on God. There's actually practical benefits to fasting. This is kind of amazing. God's been talking about fasting, and in this we have this book for sale. This is Discipline Equals Freedom by Jocko Willink. It's backwards on this screen, but we have this for sale for $20. He actually talks about, this is a guy, I do not think he's a Christian, but he actually talks about fasting is good in the natural. So aside from the spiritual benefit, it has natural benefits. Listen to some of the things that he lists that fasting is good for. Fasting, let's see, it says it improves function of cells, genes, and hormones, induces loss of body fat, reduces risk of insulin resistance and type 2 diabetes, reduces oxidative stress and inflammation, induces cell repair processes, increases brain-derived neurotropic factors, increases levels of endorphins, induces detoxification process. So there's all kinds of just practical, natural benefits to fasting. The other thing is it resets. It's like a reset for your hunger. Your hunger signal. It's like, because sometimes you're hungry and you're not really hungry. It's just your body's bored more than it's actual hungry. It says, give me something to eat. Sometimes we eat because we're bored, not because we're actually hungry. We just think we are. And then the thing is that with fasting, it shows you that it helps you exercise your will to not give in to the needs of the flesh and to not be ruled by your flesh. There's people that are addicted to food. They're addicted to sugar. They're addicted to things, and it's bondage. And they are so used to that, they have no idea about the freedom that's available to them if they aren't slave to that thing. So, in fact, humans can survive 30 days without food. You can make it a few hours. That's what Jocko Willink says, and I think he's right. And he fasts pretty regularly just for natural health benefits. So how much more should we do it for spiritual benefits? So there's a lot of practical benefits. And as I wrap up now, I just wanted to also give you an illustration so that you understand the importance of fasting. Have you ever been like really, really, really hungry? If you ever been really hungry, you know what that's like. We probably never really have been, because we eat every moment that we want to, because that's the kind of world we live in. If you live in a third world country where you may or may not eat, you'd relate to this question more. But I'm sure at some level you can identify, yeah, I can think, oh, I remember I'm starving. I so wanted to eat. Yeah, you know what that feels like? You know what that was like? Okay, here's another thing. Have you ever been really, really stuffed? Now, that's probably something that more of you can relate to. Like after a Thanksgiving meal where you just eaten so much mashed potatoes and gravy and whatever other junk you inhaled in massive quantities that you want to unbutton those pants and not move for like 3 hours because you're bloated, you overate, you overdid it, you had too much pumpkin pie, apple pie, you can't move, you are stuffed. So you know what that's like. You know what it feels like. What would you do if you were stuffed and someone tried to get you to eat more? What would you do? This happens every family thing that my mom is serving is we're all stuffed. And then she said, who wants dessert? And we're like, no, no. Yeah. If you're stuffed and someone offers you food, you're going to be like, no way, no thanks. Guess what? There's a principle there. Sometimes we aren't hungry for God because we are already stuffed with something else. Now that leads to prayer and fasting. So when you're stuffed, stuffed, sometimes we're stuffed. We don't want to eat dinner because we ate too much candy or junk food before dinner time. We ate too many potato chips. Or you're stuffed with your time. You're not coming to church or involved because you're, sports, hobbies, TV shows, things that take up your time and what you think about, that you're stuffed. So there's no time for God in your life because you're stuffed with all this stuff. So how do you get more hungry for God? That means you need to have less stuff in your lives that are taking you away from being with Him. That is the purpose of fasting. Fasting is doing without something we like so that we can focus more on God, which makes us more hungry for Him. That's what fasting is for. That's what it's about. Sometimes we need to teach ourselves to be hungry for the right things. My 9-year-old daughter, Mallory, when she was a baby, she had some of the weirdest eating habits. She used to take those wooden blocks with letters on them. Maybe you've seen them, and she'd gnaw on them, and she'd gnaw the letter off. So she'd eat wood. Another thing that she'd eat is she has this nice big wooden crib that Clara, our 2-year-old, is sleeping in right now. But there's teeth marks on this crib because Mallory would gnaw the wood on her crib. The other thing that little baby Mallory used to eat is her own toenails. She would bend her leg up like she was made of rubber, and she would bite and eat those toenails. That's gross, and that's not the right kind of thing. She had to be trained to eat the right thing. We had to keep feeding her the green goop in the Gerber's baby food and those things to train her to learn to eat vegetables, learn to eat normal food. And I wouldn't say that Gerber is normal food, but it's a start. Guess what? Sometimes what you crave and what you feed on and what you stuff yourself with is the wrong kind of thing because you never learned how to have the right diet or the right spiritual diet. And so your life is full of activities and junk food when your life should be full of God. And so you need to learn spiritually how to eat the right thing, and you may not even like it at first, just like baby Mallory. She didn't want to eat the right thing. You may have to be trained in your taste buds to desire the right kind of spiritual food. How do you do that? That means you read the Bible, whether you feel like it or not. You learn to read the Bible. You're in prayer. You're going to church. You're worshiping God. Practical things like that. So fasting is about cutting out things and stuff that are filling your life so that you can be hungry for God. Prayer is about feeding yourself in the Word, and these other things are about feeding yourself the right kinds of things so that you have the spiritual nutrition, the spiritual diet to be strong.